Probably the most famous case that we had was in 2004. It involved the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group. This is a nuclear-powered, if you will, aircraft carrier, along with a fleet of other vessels, nuclear-powered, and in some cases submarines. And so they were doing what they call workups, or they were practicing before going out on a deployment. And they were out in 2004 in November, conducting operations off the coast of San Diego, California. And there you have one of the escort ships with the latest Spy 1 radar capability beginning to pick up some sort of weird anomaly. In fact, not only was it the USS Princeton at the time with this brand new radar system looking at this, which one could argue maybe was a radar glitch, but you also had an E-2 Hawkeye that was also in the air providing airborne radar. And both are now looking at some sort of object, we'll call it an object, coming in from 80,000 feet and within less than a second, now hovering 50 feet over the water. So certainly something very perplexing. So perplexing, in fact, that we decided to go ahead and launch 2 of our F-18 aircraft, Super Hornets. And so as you had Commander Dave Fravor and Commander Alex Dietrich, this is Commander Dave Fravor, by the way, a Top Gun graduate and instructor. These people are trained to identify and determine the difference between an SU-22, a MiG-25, and a F-16 from 20 miles away. And by the way, make a decision to shoot it down if necessary. So they get vectored to the area, and the first thing they notice is some water roiling on the ocean. And so Dave decides, being the kind of pilot that he is, he's going to go in and take a look at this. So he conducts a very, very evasive maneuver to get down and close to what he describes as this white, looks like a tic tac, literally like the breath mint. And it's about 40 feet long. There's no windows, no real wings or control surfaces, no obvious signs of propulsion. And yet this object is witnessed now by 4 separate individuals in 2 separate aircraft, bouncing back and forth almost like a ping pong ball right over the surface of the water. So as he goes down and to take a closer look at this, all of a sudden this thing begins to react to Commander Fravor's evasive maneuvers. And really, as Commander Fravor's coming in for a better look, this thing begins to maintain its distance and almost parlay, if you will, and keep a distance from this aircraft. So that tells us, first of all, it's intelligently controlled. And so as he decides this time, okay, I'm not getting anywhere here. I'm just going to go aggressively and go for this thing. Full throttle, goes in, and if you will, for that quote-unquote kill to see what this thing is. And all of a sudden, like that, it's gone. It absolutely disappears over the horizon within about a second. Now, what's even more scary, which is in about 5 seconds afterwards, and we know this conclusively, we did the investigation, this object now is picked up once again on radar 60 miles away. And in fact, it is now at the rendezvous point waiting for them. And that rendezvous point, by the way, is a point that nobody knew other than the pilots where they were supposed to be. So somehow this not only anticipated their next move, but was able to get literally 60 miles. You can do the calculations if you want how fast that is in 5 seconds. So something certainly well beyond our capabilities even today. Hypersonic velocity, instantaneous acceleration, and whatnot.
This is what David Fravor and his team saw and recorded.
In 2004, off the coast of California, an F-18 Super Hornet training exercise was suddenly interrupted by a call over the radio that would come to define Commander David Fravor's career.
You know, there's certain things in your life where you just remember in vivid detail what happened. And that's one of them, because it's honestly the strangest, most obscure thing I've ever seen flying.
Fravor, the commanding officer of the Navy's Strike Fighter Squadron 41, and another F-18 scrambled to check out an unusual radar blip 80 miles off the coast.
So as we're looking around, the backseater in the other airplane comes up and says, "Hey, Skipper, do you see?" And before he says it, I'm like, "Dude, do you see that?" As soon as we look down, we see the whitewater, and then we see this little white tic-tac. It's pointing north-south, and it's just going forward, back, left, right.
It's just bouncing around?
Yeah, like a ping pong ball.
What was its shape? What was its, what did it look like it was made out of?
Like a perfectly smooth white tic-tac. Or for people that need a bigger visualization, a giant propane tank.
Fravor says the F-18s began circling, Fravor at 20,000 feet, and the so-called tic-tac only about 50 feet above the surface of the water.
And I say, hey, I'm going to go check this thing out. And the other pilot stays and says, hey, I'm going to stay up high. And then it starts coming up at us. We call it two-circle fight, but it's coming up, I'm coming down. So it literally is aware we're there. There's no doubt because it mirrored me. So here it is. I cut across and I get to about half mile of it, so I'm about halfway across the circle. As it gets in front of me, it just goes poof and it's gone. And it's gone like that fast.
What do you mean, poof, it's gone?
I mean, exactly that. Like, it's 1 minute it's there and the next second it's like magic trick. So I asked the other airplane, I said, hey, do you guys see that? And they're like, it's gone. It just disappeared.
When you saw this kind of performance, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
What the hell was that?
Once back on the carrier, Fravor's team told the next crew what had happened, and that crew took off ready to capture something on camera. And this is what they saw.
I guess the biggest question is, what do you think it is?
I honestly don't know. I don't think that we have developed that technology. I don't think we developed it on this planet. We still, to this day, have no idea what it was, what we saw, what we chased, what we engaged. But it was pretty spectacular.
Other countries have made similar public disclosures. Also in 2004, the Mexican Air Force confirmed this video was shot by one of their pilots near the coast of Baja California.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 en la pantalla.
In 2014, the helicopter from the Chilean Navy locked onto an unidentified object emitting what appeared to be some sort of gas or vapor. Both governments have said they investigated but couldn't determine what the objects were.
In 2004, I was the Chief Master at Arms on board the USS Princeton, and the technology that we witnessed with the Tic Tac was something that we would not have been able to defend our forces against at the time.
Help me understand that. As the uninitiated, what does that mean to us?
Well, sir, that means that what we saw in the Tic Tac and what Mr. Luis Elizondo describes as the 5 observables indicate a technology that outstrips our arsenal by at least 100 to 1,000 years at the moment.
100 to 1,000. So, meaning, like, what kind of technology was at play that you were able to identify it but know that you can't match it?
Well, first of all, the aircraft had 0 control surfaces. It had no means of propulsion that we could detect. It moved at hypersonic velocities, and it preceded the pilots to their cap point. So it seemed to have some knowledge of where the pilots were headed ahead of time, and we don't possess those abilities to do that in our arsenal at the moment.
Sean, what do you think is the likely universe of explanation that will come up at the end of these reports and addressing of this?
Chris, I think that we're going to find that this phenomenon represents a very large spectrum of different things. At edges of that spectrum are going to be near-peer technology of our adversaries here on Earth. At the other end of that spectrum is going to be something that we don't yet understand and haven't identified yet. So I hesitate to speculate on the source, but I can tell you that I don't believe that this is within our arsenal of any human technology at the moment.
In night vision video from a Navy destroyer, a mysterious flying triangle above the deck of the ship. The Pentagon confirming the images obtained by documentary filmmaker Jeremy Corbell were taken by Navy personnel, expected to be a part of a report on unidentified aerial phenomenon to be presented to Congress this summer. Already online, some skeptics say the images are caused by cameras trying to focus, but some of the objects go beyond just flying in the sky. One shows a spherical object dipping into the ocean, similar to an incident in Puerto Rico where an object was tracked buzzing an airport, then flying into the water, popping back out before appearing to split into 2 and disappearing. Over the last several weeks, some of the nation's top former intelligence officials have been raising eyebrows.
Look at that thing. It's rotating.
Former CIA Director R. James Woolsey said he knew of a case where a plane was paused in midair.
A friend of mine was able to have his aircraft stop at 40,000 feet or so and not continue operating as a normal aircraft. What was going on?
In December, ex-CIA Director John Brennan said it was arrogant to believe there are no other forms of life other than the ones on Earth. And former intelligence chief John Ratcliffe says officials have been tracking technology beyond our capabilities.
In the next episode, the Pentagon takes a bold step by officially releasing their classified findings on UAPs to the public, and what happens to people who encounter these mysterious flying objects.
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing! It's rotating. Nickel 6-1 Tango, Roger, oh, got it! Woohoo! Roger, there's troubleshooting. What the fuck is that? Did you box moving target? No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at that, man. Look at it fly!
Some of the key points discovered from this episode are: 1. Both military and commercial pilots have witnessed and documented UAPs. 2. UAPs travel through air, water, and space in ways that defy the laws of physics. 3. All UAPs recorded and observed by the Pentagon are hidden from the public. 4. 2 UAP reports made by the Pentagon are to be made public. 5. High-ranking government officials believe UAPs could be from other planets.